Hi friends, welcome to the Common Sense Grandma. My name is Michelle and today we are going to make banana bread. I'm using a recipe from the Better Homes and Gardens cookbook. This is the Breast Cancer Awareness Edition, that's why it's pink. I do have two other Better Homes and Gardens cookbooks, one that was my mom's and one that belonged to my grandma. And later in this video, we are going to talk a little bit about cookbooks. But let's get started here. The recipe does not call for you to use a mixer. I just find it's easier because I just cut the bananas up into chunks like this and I just let the mixer do the work of mashing it up a little bit. Sorry, there is a moth, and I even have a bug zapper on over there. I've heard it 3 times. Critters like to come in, especially mosquitoes lately. But let's get started. I like to always start, because maybe I do the recipe a little bit different. I like to do it in one bowl. I don't like to use 2 bowls. You know, dry ingredients, wet ingredients. So we're gonna start with, I'm using a cup of oil because I am making a double recipe. I have 4 eggs here that I put into the bowl already because I did not want to have to open the eggs in front of you, because what if I make a mistake? Just in case. Okay, so we have our eggs, we have our oil. Now I'm going to put in sugar. I'm putting 2 cups, again, because I'm making a double recipe. And I use good organic cane sugar, not the white stuff that has been bleached. I either get the organic cane sugar at Costco or as your standard, whoever I happen to be buying from when I need it. So I'm going to get this mixing a little bit, so excuse the noise for a second. It would help if I plugged it in. I'll be right back. All right, I'm back. I plugged it in and I went ahead and ran it so you didn't have to listen to the mixer because it is kind of loud. And so now we're going to put in the flour. One recipe calls for 2 cups, so we are doing 4. So 4 cups of all-purpose flour. Again, I get my organic flour either from As Your Standard or Costco. I would buy it at Sam's, but they don't carry organic flour, and I think it's very important because of the way our flour has been messed with so much. We need to use organic. Okay, there we go. We've got the flour. Now we're going to put in all of the spices. So 1.5 teaspoons for one recipe. So I'm going with 3 because I'm doing a double. Baking soda is 1/2 teaspoon, so I'm going 1. Salt is a 1/4 teaspoon, so we're going with 1/2. Cinnamon, a 1/4 teaspoon, so again 1/2, since we're doing a double. And then nutmeg, I don't know how much, I'm gonna sprinkle some. Okay, I think that's everything except for the bananas. So let me get this mixed up real quick. I'm just going on low so it doesn't fly. There we go. Okay, now we're gonna put in the bananas. Gonna have to get a spoon here. Let me do a quick check of my ingredients. We're good. And this, of course, will moisten it up with the bananas in there. See, it already looks so much better. And then the only other thing we're going to add is some chopped pecans. It calls for walnuts, but I prefer pecans. Walnuts I'm allergic to. I can eat them, but it just makes my mouth a little itchy. so not a fan of that. And so it calls for a 1/4 cup. Very rare that I ever measure the nuts. I usually put a lot more than it calls for, but we'll just go with that, it's fine. Mix it up. We're good. That's all it takes. I have used other recipes. There's one that I tried from someone I saw on YouTube. I can't remember who it was, but she put sour cream in hers and it was delicious. And I do need to find my grandma's recipe. I do have her recipes. I have a big tub full of all of her recipes. And she had her banana bread. She actually put sour cream in also. I just need to find that recipe. I don't know where it is. That's a, you know, a day's project of going through all of her recipes, but one of these days I will compile them, and we'll cook through some of them. And I just want to show you the pans I'm using here. These are just some of them I'm using. These were my grandma's pans, and these say Bridgeford. Do you remember the Bridgeford rolls? I think they're still available in the freezer section of the market. I make my own, but you know, if you're in a pinch, the Bridgeford rolls are really good. Frozen, you just put them on the tray and bake them. But yeah, I was able to get a lot of my grandma's stuff when she passed away. I really wanted the kitchen things because I am a kitchen person, and I really appreciate having some of her things that I was able to get. So I'm gonna get the dough here in the pans and get them baked up. Today we are making our second recipe of quick breads, and today we are doing pumpkin bread. And I am using the recipe from this Better Homes and Gardens cookbook. And at the end of the video here, I'm going to show you a few of my favorite cookbooks and why. I think all of us need to have a few good cookbooks to go to just for simple things like, let's say, quick breads, cookies, whatever. There's always good information in these cookbooks of how to do certain things. And so when we start our recipe, we always check the oven, make sure there's nothing in there. I had to take a bunch of pans I was drying in there, take them out, and set it at 350. Now we're making a regular recipe today, not a double like I did on the banana bread from the other day. And so it starts out with 3 cups of sugar, and yes, it does seem like this is a lot, but you know, these treats they're not necessarily things we eat all of the time. And I have made it with less sugar before, and it was okay. It was fine. We're not big sugar people. In fact, when I have a dinner party or something, I usually forget about dessert because I'm really not a dessert person. But I do like quick breads because they're just, you know, they're just so easy. So I put in the 3 cups of sugar, and again, I do my recipes a little backwards. I put in the sugar. I'm going to put in the eggs. I like to crack the eggs before we go on camera just in case I make a mistake. So I'm going to cream that up a little bit, real quick. It doesn't take long. Okay, 1 cup of oil. I use avocado oil. Let's mix that up again. It jumped out. Okay, that's good. Now let's start adding in our dry ingredients. So it is 3 1/3 cups of all-purpose flour. Go with that. You know, in the earlier part of the video, making the banana bread, I talked about organic flour. And honestly, organic flour does not cost that much more than regular flour. And there are good, you know, Amazon has even their own brand, which is good. I've used it. I get mine at Costco or as your standard, depending on how much I'm buying. So there is 3 1/3. But anyway, what I just wanted to make a point of is organic flour does not cost that much more than regular flour. So if you're able to, I would certainly recommend using that. Now we're going to do our seasonings here, the spices. And so we have 2 teaspoons of baking soda. I buy my baking soda in bulk, you know, a big bag, because I use it. The other day I cleaned out the dishwasher and I ran a load of baking soda and vinegar just to make sure it's all clean. Now we've got 1.5 teaspoons of salt. I'm kind of making a well in the flour here. And then I think it's 1 teaspoon of cinnamon. And then some nutmeg. And we're gonna mix this up real quick. And then we're gonna be adding in our pumpkin and a little bit of water. So let's add in the pumpkin. It's 1 can of pumpkin. Be sure to get plain pumpkin, not pumpkin pie filling. I've actually never bought pumpkin pie filling. I don't know why anybody would do that. You have all the ingredients in your pantry to make pumpkin pie, probably. It's kind of difficult here the way it landed of the beaters. Oops. Something I like to do also when I am baking is I get out all of my ingredients ahead of time. I don't start with just a couple ingredients and stop and go get the rest. I find that if I get out all my ingredients at one time, I think it saves time, but more than anything, it saves me from making a mistake of forgetting something. So I have done that before, and you don't want to forget things, especially when you're baking. So I get all my ingredients out. That's why they are all right here, ready to go. And it just, you know, we prevent mistakes that way. So I'm just going to let this go slowly. And then it calls for 2/3 cup water. And I'm just adding it in slowly. I will link the recipe below from Better Homes and Gardens, so you can actually see their exact recipe. And I like to add some nuts. I think it calls for, if you want to add nuts, 3/4 cup chopped. Calls for walnuts, but again, I like pecans. Put that in. Let me just double check. Yep. Okay. We are good. It's not like a cake where you have to mix it up for a long time. So it's, I think you can see it there. There's the view. Now I will be putting this in a lot of, I use the smaller pans. I use smaller pans like this because you can, I think they're just easier to store. If you want to gift some of this to someone, it's a nice, instead of giving them a big whole loaf, it's nice to give them a small loaf. And it's easy storage. I just use a quart-sized bag to put them in. And then I keep, you know, some out on the counter. And this is the banana bread from earlier. I just keep it like this. I pulled a loaf out this morning, and that's how we do that. Now, I'm gonna go ahead and talk about cookbooks because I think all of you know how to put the batter in your prepared pans. I just sprayed them with some non-release cooking spray. So this cookbook here, oh, let me see. It says bake for 55 to 65 minutes. Now we're going to bake it less than that, and I will let you know at the end of the video how long I actually end up baking it for because I'm using smaller pans. So this recipe book, cookbook is from, you know, Better Homes and Gardens. I actually don't remember the year, if I got that on here, of when this one was published. I think I forgot to look. But I have a few others. I have this one that was my mother's. the best I can find, it's probably from the 60s. But this is an amazing cookbook because it just gives you so many great ideas. And I remember making this when we were newly married and started having kids. I needed inexpensive foods, and one of the things I like to feed the little ones was soup. And so you have here cream of fresh vegetable soup, and there's all different kinds of vegetables that you can use. And of course you can use fresh vegetables or frozen. And it just gives you such good ideas. I just love this old cookbook. I wish I could figure out when it was published. I don't know. I can't figure it out. Now this one, this was my grandma's. This is published in 1950, and it's a picture book. And so it shows you exactly how to make the items. And then for some reason, I just found this on my shelf. I didn't even know I had this. It's the same cookbook, but a little bit smaller, also published in 1950. And wow, somebody wrote in this. It's obviously used. I didn't buy this. But it really just shows you how to do things. And this here is from the Betty Crocker. Now, I keep saying, yeah, it is Betty Crocker. They're actual kitchens, and they show a modern kitchen here. It's just so cool. But they have pictures in here. This one is like, you know how today's blogs, people put all kinds of pictures of how to do things step by step by step? And I do have a blog, thecommonsensegramma.com, but I don't put all those pictures step by step. I actually find them kind of irritating because I just want the recipe. I can figure out how to do it. And I, you know, on my blog, I include the video of how to do that. So, you know, I don't care for all the pictures, but this one's like a blog style. Here's cookies, step by step by step. I just think it's so cool. And then we have here, this one is published in 2012. This is for our grandkids. It's a junior cookbook. And it's great for the kids, you know, to learn how to cook. Here's Power Surge Bake. And it just goes step by step by step. So I am a cookbookaholic. I've probably gotten rid of half of my cookbooks because I just didn't have room and I was not using them. And so I did donate a lot. Now here's a cookbook. I put the date. I got this in 1966 from my grandparents. And it's Let's Start to Cook. And they even wrote in here, to Michelle from Grandma and Grandpa, July 30, 1966. And I have always kept this cookbook. I remember learning how to bake cakes and pancakes from here. And I'm just so grateful that I still have that memory. But I have something here. Oh, we'll get to it next. Here is a McCall's cookbook. This is another must to me to have, is a cookbook like this. I was quite frustrated today when I pulled this out and there's no covers, you know, the outside of it. I don't know what happened to it. But the best I can figure out is this one was published in 1973. I went on to eBay because I love eBay to find books. And I have used so many recipes in here for cookies. It's just a great cookbook, very simple, good quality things. Now, my next 3 cookbooks I'm going to show you. My stepmom, Lucy, in Arizona, bless her heart, she found these Julia Child cookbooks at an estate sale. And this is the Mastering the Art of French Cooking by Julia Child and Simone Beck and Louisette Berthold. I don't know how to say it. I don't speak French. This is volume 1. This is volume 2. And this one is another Julia Child cookbook. It's called Julia Child and More Company. But what is so cool about this cookbook, it is signed by Julia Child. I just thought that was so neat to have these. And the funny thing is, I have not cooked anything from these cookbooks. And of course, I think all of us have seen the movie where Julia, the the gal who learned to cook, going through all of Julia Child's cookbook, Cooking Every Recipe. That was such a fun movie to watch, but it's something I've wanted to do. I remember Martha Stewart talking about making beef bourguignon from her recipe, which does look delicious, and I'm not really a beef person, but it does look really good. And I do want to cook through here sometime, maybe not through the whole thing, but at least try some of those recipes. So I will come back once all of these pumpkin breads are baked and show you how they turned out. And that will be it for today's video. So I'll be back soon. Hi friends, we are back with our baked pumpkin bread loaves. Here they are. We made 5. I filled the pans about half full. And I started out baking them at 30 minutes and it ended up taking 55. So they look perfect. They look great. I'm looking forward to having this in the freezer. But I wanted to clarify, I'm a little dingy sometimes. These are Better Homes and Gardens cookbooks. And then this really old one, published in 1950, is Betty Crocker, not Better Homes and Gardens. I actually get them confused. I don't know why, but for whatever reason, I get myself confused by which cookbook is which. But I do recommend getting yourself a really good standard all-around cookbook, because in there you can learn about cooking chicken, beef, spaghetti, bread, quick breads, vegetables, salads, desserts especially, all kinds of things. And there's always sections in there that will tell you how to swap out ingredients if you are out of something, what else you can use in its place. And some of these cookbooks even have meal planning ideas, things like that, something that some of us have a hard time with. I'm one. I actually had a notebook with a list of foods that my husband liked. He would write in there of the ones that he likes, and now I don't even know where it is. So something I need to search for. I know I have it somewhere, but I just wish you all peace, love, and blessings, and we will see you again in a few days. Bye, everyone.